with the release of Minecraft Dungeons, there is a lot of equipment in this game, and bringing them to their full potential can be a little bit of a challenging task. So, this is Feb, live every day except Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 p.m. Central Time. So, let me give you a hand and help you figure out the best way to maximize your gear loadout. Alright guys, so the first thing you're going to want to figure out is what equipment do you have that goes with the other equipment you have. You want to try to base everything off of what synergizes well with each other. For instance, I am using the Phantom Armor here. I went ahead and had the Soul Healer, and I also have the Harvester. Now, if you have not noticed or haven't been paying attention, you can see that we got the 1+ Soul Gathering on that, and we got +2 souls gathering on the crossbow. And then you include that with the Phantom Armor, 100% souls gathered. So, let's dive a little bit deeper on how to best maximize your potential with a loadout, for instance, just like this. Granted, you may not always have a loadout that completely synergizes well with each other, so you're going to want to try to find a piece or find the best way that you can kind of make everything flow in together. So we'll go over another piece of armor set, another loadout that you could possibly do, and ways that, you know, work around the system and get the most for your bang. So let's go over the armor first off. So we have a Phantom Armor. They're all level 47 as you can tell. However, the one big change difference is the enchantments. So we're going to want to take over a look at that. Also, well, one of them does have 5 extra health, but you know what? That's not a whole lot. So let's figure out what enchantments are going to be the best for this loadout. So we're going to want to find something with the armor, the crossbow, and the spear, and find like enchantments that will kind of flow with everything that we have here. I'm pretty dead set on the artifacts I have now, just because it is collecting a lot of souls, and the souls are really useful, especially when you start collecting a lot of them. You can start using them on multiple repeats, and they are very powerful when they're fully charged. So we have this Phantom Armor here with a couple enchantments. There's Final Shout. Final Shout isn't going to be the best case scenario for this, just because when you die, when your health drops below 25%, all your artifacts are used, ignoring cooldown periods. Well, we don't want to quite use our cooldowns or our artifacts until we want to, because these require using souls, and when we use the souls, it could be good, for instance, if you're getting overrun and you need an emergency spout and you're just not very, if you're not very micro-oriented. So that might be kind of good, but I don't think that's going to be good for this situation. So let's find something else. Cooldown. So this might be something that we might want to consider. However, this is only going to affect one cool artifact, because this is the only artifact that's going to be on cooldown. These two are still reliant on souls. So if you run out of souls, you can't use it. But if you still have souls, it's all yours. So that's not going to quite do it for us either. Gravity Pulse. I mean, Gravity Pulse isn't too bad. It kind of pulls everybody near you, especially if you can line it up with a weapon that does a lot of close-up damage. So the spear does do some decent damage. We do have stunning and exploding on it already. So basically when they die, they explode, and every time you attack, they also get a stun, making it a little easier to do mass AoE. So this is pretty much the optimal loadout right now for what I'm running with this weapon. And then on the crossbow, we are running Gravity, which kind of pulls everybody together, and then Temple Theft, which gives me a little bit of a boost of that character or the mob that you just attacked, which gives you additional speed, so you can kind of run up, close the gap, and start attacking. But so back to this one, which one do we want to run? Well, I don't think either of these three are going to be really the answer. Maybe Gravity Pulse. Surprise Gift is not too bad. It's random consumable, which can give you a little bit more health. Explore. I don't really see this one being a very good enchantment to begin with. Just walking around and gaining a little bit of health isn't quite, I don't know. I think you're better off just using a potion. And then Deflect. This one might be not too bad to kind of protect yourself from projectiles and deflect them back. Overall, I think we're going to want to pass on this one. So then next we got to look at this loadout. Remember, the enchantments are always completely randomized. So the main key of this game is to keep running the same level over and over again and trying to get a perfect loot drop or a perfect enchantment roll on that piece of armor or weapon that you're looking for. So we have another Gravity Pulse. Even though this is a powerful one, I maybe. It's a maybe for me. Frenzied, I think we can pass on that one as well. Electrified. This one's not too bad. It's when you roll, it zaps. It leaves like a little trail of zap. It does like zap damage, basically. It's similar to like the fire trail. I would still probably just go with Gravity Pulse on this one. Soul Speed. So basically you get a little speed boost, which is not too bad. Protection, reduce damage taken, which might be actually pretty good in this situation, just because we're going to be kind of up close and personal for the most part, unless we're using our crossbow, to kind of group them up at first, and then we're going to roll in, attack with our glaive, and then at that point collect as much souls as possible, then either healing or doing an explosion once it starts getting a little too much to push everybody back. And then the last piece of armor we got here is we got thorns, which obviously, as if you played regular Minecraft, when you get damaged, you do damage back to them automatically. And then Gravity Pulse again. It seems like Gravity Pulse is very common in this one. I'm not too sure why. I think all three of these have Gravity Pulse, which is a really common roll on this for whatever reason. So I'm assuming this Phantom Armor actually has this as a higher chance of rolling with the armor. And then we have Final Shout again. It is a good enchantment. However, on this build that we are doing, I don't know if this is quite worth it. And then we have Burning, so every time you, so this one does the, okay, so every 5 seconds damages all enemies with melee range, which is not too bad. And then Fire Trail, which is the roll one, where it leaves a little trail. Okay, so now that we have looked at all the armor pieces, we kind of gauged what our possible scenarios are. We kind of want to put them into groups and figure out which class or which specification we kind of want to be in. So for instance, this one's going to be a little bit more of like a consistent damage with thorns, and let's say we did burning. I think those would probably be the best two combination on this, so you get a little radius damage on you, while this one also does do a poisonous cloud, so you can do a little consistent damage while you're stunning them. So it'd be a little lower DPS, but it would do a little bit more consistent damage over time. And then, so at that point, we would want to try to stay alive as long as possible. Right now, there is Protection and Fire Trail, which is something I had on here before. I kept going on this mission to get all three of these Phantom Armors for this video. So right now I have Protection, which is going to give me a little bit more health, or not more health, but prevent damage done to me to keep my health up. And then we have Fire Trail. Every time you roll, it is going to leave a little fire trail, obviously. So I don't think this is going to be the answer, because this is going to be a little bit more of a tanky runaway build. Or you can even use it to tanky roll in and then use that fire trail, so they try to come and flank you to the back. They're going to take a little bit of consistent damage. This one is going to be the same thing. It's going to be, you're going to be in the fight. You can even do Gravity Pulse, so that way it kind of pulls everybody towards you and they take more burning. So I'd say for sure you're going to want to do burning on this one, and then I'd say either it's going to be Gravity Pulse or Thorns on this particular piece. And then we have this piece, which could give you more protection, so you take less damage. And then you could do Gravity Pulse, which brings them in as well. And then you can do Frenzied when you're less than half health, your attack speed is increased, which it could be good. If you were doing a lot of damage, you got a slower weapon, it could really up your DPS greatly. And then Electrified with rolling. I'd say this one's probably going to be another pass as well. So the problem is we don't have quite a good answer for this one, to be honest. I think this is probably going to be the best choice, going with a Burning and Thorns and just getting a little bit more of the consistent damage to go with your Poisonous Cloud to get you killing them as quickly as possible, giving you more souls, letting you be able to use those artifacts quicker. So those are the kind of the things you need to take into consideration when building a loadout. Granted, I already constructed the artifacts beforehand to kind of go along with the build, but as you can see, I went with the soul build, so I had everything kind of falling in line to give you more souls. And then, for instance, if we went to go ahead and do like a different loadout, we could grab what we're kind of looking at here. So let's say we're going to go with the twin bow, shoots 2 enemies at once. So at this point, we could go with a fox armor to give you more arrows per collection. You could probably go with different artifacts to give you better arrow shots. For instance, you could go like the flaming quiver. You can go with the fireworks arrow. You could also go with the torment quiver. The torment quiver could actually go along with the build that I am doing here, the soul build. However, I do like having that regeneration just in case I run out of souls and I need that little extra thing to kind of give me a little bit more health while I am doing damage and collecting the souls to replenish my health. And that is just something that you're going to take into consideration, and something you will get better with time. It takes a little bit to understand the best way and the way to kind of get everything to blend well together. But be open-minded, think thoroughly, and play around, honestly. Just play around with the different types of builds and see what works, what doesn't work. And the nice thing is, there is these dummies right over here. Go ahead, hit these dummies up, see what kind of potential damage you're looking at, and how consistent the damage is, and see how it works. Granted, this soul build is a little bit more difficult because you don't actually get souls from these bills. Why don't they have souls is my question. But regardless, guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. Leave your comments down below on what builds you guys are running. If you guys haven't already, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and go ahead and join us over at the Twitch channel, link down below. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Have a good night, everybody.